welcome to Horror Boys. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And that's it for this week. And for this foreseeable future, our boy, other Chris, yes, tears F in the chat. Our boy Chris is having to step back for some personal reasons. I want to believe he will be back, but the timetable is unknown. So for the time being, it's gonna be just me and Chris. That's the podcast now.
Yep.
Because the third spot is cursed, and I'm not gonna try to fill it again.
Doomed to always fade away for one reason or another.
But yeah, so we're going to just jump right into talking about a movie, because this is a horror movie review podcast. If you are a first-time listener, and you're like, right. What are you who's other Chris? What is this? That's fair. If you're new, I'm sorry.
My split personality.
Yeah.
Other Chris.
Yeah.
You would like him when he comes out.
Oh, no, actually you would. He's really cool. But he's
actually a pretty nice guy.
Yeah, but he's not here this week. So today we are going to continue our coverage of the Scream franchise with Scream 4, or stylized Scriform.
Yeah, Scriform.
Scriform.
Everyone's favorite channel?
No, that's Freeform. Common misconception.
Oh, right. Hey, it might be Scriform right now, because it's spooky season.
You're not wrong. If you want to watch Hocus Pocus 12 times this month, you head on over to Freeform.
And only Hocus Pocus. No, that's not true. There's also probably The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, and Halloween Town is getting played once.
Yeah.
Halloween 2018 is also getting played, which that feels weird. It's probably a TV. It's a TV edit, I'm sure. But I did see the list of things, and Halloween 2018 is on the Freeform schedule for this month. But that's not
the worst version of Halloween 2018 you could watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022? Oh, we're still joking on this podcast. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, this movie, Scream 4, is directed once again by the legendary Wes Craven. It is once again written by Kevin Williamson. It is once again DP'd by Peter Deming and composed by Marco Beltrami. Those four have... Well, three of those four... Well, yeah, actually. Two of those four have been there for all four movies, and the other two have been there for three of the four movies at this point. Wes Craven's done all four. Beltrami's done all four. Technically, Peter Deming's done all four, but he started late on the last one and didn't get full credit for it. So,
or on the first one.
Yeah, on the first one. And Kevin Williamson was not in the third one, and that's probably why it is the weakest of the franchise. What? But yeah, let's jump right into this. We open on Sherry, who is played by Lucy Hale of Pretty Little Liars fame, who is, which I don't care about Pretty Little Liars, but that's her number one spot on IMDb, so I guess someone out there might be like, oh, Lucy Hale of Pretty Little Liars. Yeah.
Yeah, like a very solid handful of teenage girls, probably.
I feel like it's more than a solid handful. It's probably a solid, convention hall full.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair assessment.
And she is getting a call from Ghostface, who is still voiced by the amazing Roger Jackson. Right. Which I will bring up here because I brought it up on one of the episodes when I was watching the documentary for this one. At this point, when they were making Scream 4, the main cast had still never seen Roger Jackson. The man is, relatively speaking, would stay out of the spot. He wouldn't go to press thing. He wouldn't do anything to keep the fear of them not knowing. As of 2011, none of them had ever met the man. They had only ever heard his voice, which is, I think, awesome.
Yeah, well, I liked it.
I guess, to be fair, at least David Arquette had never seen him. He was talking like they all hadn't, so I assume that was just they were keeping him. But at least David Arquette...
imagine that just David Arquette is I've never seen the man, and everyone else is just behind his back
oh, we could have parties with him all the time.
Yeah, he's always at every meeting we have. And he just kind of sneaks out every time he sees David Arquette. He's trying to keep him it's like Santa Claus. He's not real.
I don't know what you're talking about. When we watch Santa's sleigh this year, we might find out that Santa is Goldberg.
Huh?
Yeah, you'll find out.
Goldberg?
Yeah, the professional wrestler. He's placed Santa in a horror movie we are covering this year.
Got it.
Spoiler for our schedule
like the guy from... Wait. Is that the guy from Jurassic Park? Is his last name also Goldberg?
No, you're thinking of Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum, yeah. That is exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Golden last name, you know.
No.
That's my bad.
Yeah, I guess, sure. But yeah, we'll move on from that.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's getting a call from Ghostface. She hangs up on him before then talking to Trudy, who is played by... Excuse me, that was disgusting. I am so sorry, our audience.
Cannot believe. So unprofessional.
If only I was a professional and would edit that out, but I'm not, so let's move on. Trudy is played by Shanae Grimes of the 90210 reboot fame, I guess. She was in that. I mean, someone probably... the same people who watched Pretty Little Liars might have also watched that, so...
Everyone's favorite daytime television, but also not.
Those are both nighttime television shows.
Everyone's favorite later afternoon television
Those are both, probably, debuted on, Tuesday at 7 or whatever. Their channel had them in the slot. But they were definitely nighttime traditional television shows. But yeah, they're discussing their plans for the evening because they're going to watch a horror movie. They're going to watch Saw 4. Whoa. But Trudy is not a fan of those type of movies. I don't believe we can refer to them by the name they use in this movie. It is torture something. You know what it is. But we can't say that because YouTube will be mad at us.
It will.
Yeah. Some torture harmonica videos. We'll call it that. That feels like our... What? You know,
I guess that's accurate.
I think the one time we had to reference that word before, in Scream 1, we did also call it harmonica videos, is what we called it when Sydney said that her and Billy's relationship could move up to that. So I think that's the canonical name for our podcast of that word.
Yeah, I guess.
We're rocking it.
Doesn't mean I have to like it.
If you have a better idea, I'm willing to change the
No, I don't.
Okay.
I gotta make that clear.
Okay. Yeah, Trudy is not a fan, and she also is having a Facebook stalker right now. He's sending her pictures of Channing Tatum, as all people do.
Yeah.
Then Ghostface calls again and gets all threatening before the girls hang up again. What I got here? I got a little side note here. The phone rings again, but they don't answer it. And Trudy's stalker tells her to answer. Oh my gosh, is he part of this? Maybe.
Yeah, probably.
Lost my place. There it is. Then they go to check the door to make sure it's locked because they're getting spooked right now. When the doorbell rings. That's super scary now.
Yeah.
And Sherry, she goes outside to investigate, but she doesn't find anyone. Before Trudy gets another message from Facebook stalker revealing he's inside her house, and he pops out, he stabs her because it's Ghostface. Yeah. It's Ghostface.
Yeah, that is what he does.
Yeah. Then a second Ghostface runs up and slits Sherry's throat in a kill with some awesome gore. Boy, did they step up, the blood for this. Here's the thing. It's a Scream movie. A lot of people like to complain that, all the kills are knives. I personally don't mind, because I think it makes sense for the characters. But they at least stepped up the gore in this movie from, the three previous. The violence is pretty graphic. The amount of, blood that comes out of her neck is excessive. And I'm okay with that. Yeah. This is where I will also bring up that it was done by the makeup effects lead. At least I'll bring up him. I'm sure he didn't specifically do this, but I can't list off the whole makeup department. I'm sorry. And yeah, so that is Peter Rob King, who also did the makeup effects in Aliens.
Ah.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Nice. Yeah, Aliens is a great movie.
It is. That I am dreading when we cover it, because, oh boy, that style of action movie is going to be a not nice lady to have to cover.
A real female dog.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
A real witchy woman, if you know what I'm saying. If you catch my drift, we don't curse on the podcast, but I want to prove how much I'm going to hate covering that. Not that the movie's not good. Just writing notes for it is going to suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Real
wait,
specifics.
that scene we just discussed was actually just stab 6.
7?
6. Stab
Oh,
6. What are you
6.
talking about?
That's
Stab
right.
7. Come on, Chris. Wrong number. What are you talking? I don't know what you're talking about there.
Sorry.
And that is being watched by Rachel, who is played by Anna Paquin of X-Men and True Blood fame. Bring up True Blood because it's, more horror-ish. And also, we also have, what's her name? Chloe, who is played by Kristen Bell of Veronica Mars and Frozen fame.
Kristen Bell, woo!
Yeah, she's great.
Bunny lady.
Yeah. She was also in, was she in other stuff? She probably was. I don't know what else she's in.
I think she's been in, a lot of horror comedies and just comedies in general.
Yeah, I was trying to think, if there was, some other TV show she was in. I don't think there was. I think Veronica Mars is her big one.
Feel like Kristen Bell might have been in one of the Scary Movies. Kristen Bell.
That's possible.
Scary movie? Oh, I just brought up, Pulse.
All right, well, we'll move on because it's not that important. She's in a lot of stuff. She's great. You know who she is. And if you don't, you can look up her IMDb. We're going to move on. Rachel is not a fan of this postmodern meta that is the Stab movie. She's not a fan of that style of horror. Chloe likes them because they're grounded in reality. Rachel says that they're too predictable, which to that Chloe then stabs her in the gut twice, asking her if she saw that coming, and tells her to shut up. But wait,
watch the movie.
That was all just Stab 7's intro.
Yeah.
Honestly,
sorry.
I'm trying to play it off here as a weird zany thing, but honestly, it is really cool the first time you see it because you're like, wait, what? Yeah. What?
And watching Scary Movie 4, for a second time, I honestly forgot about the repeated intros. I was like, wait, huh?
Scary Movie? You watched Scary Movie 4? Well, that's unrelated.
Scream 4. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. I was saying,
I did not watch Scary Movie 4.
The one with, Charlie Sheen in it? You watched that for prepping for this? That was the wrong movie to watch.
I did.
Oh, crap.
I have no idea what happens for the rest of this movie.
But yeah, that was all just Stab 7, which is being watched by Jenny, who is played by Amy Teagarden of Rings 2017, not to be confused with the direct-to-DVD short film that was put with the first Ring, American Ring, remake, that was called Rings. It's confusing, this franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
an easy mistake to make.
2002 came out with Ring, which was a remake of, the J-horror classic.
Right.
And then...
Ringu.
Yes. And that was put... On the DVD set, it also came with Rings, a short film. She was not in that. She was in the 2017 movie called Rings, which is the third of the American Ring franchise.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, she was on Friday Night Lights. Because once again, if you're a big Pretty Little Liars fan, and you're a big 90210 fan, maybe you watched Friday Night Lights. It's still one of those things I don't care about any of these shows, but these people are on these shows for 6-7 years, and I'm like, that's probably what they're most known for, even if I don't care. Yeah. But yeah, and then we also meet Marnie, who is played by Britt Robinson of Tomorrowland. Remember that classic Disney movie, Tomorrowland, that did not bomb at all.
Based on that ride from Disneyland?
Based on the park, the sub-park. I don't know there's probably some Disney name for the sub-parks, but Tomorrowland is not a ride. It is a area, I think might be what the word they use.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I don't want the Disney freaks to come after us. In other words, I don't want my dad to have to ban you from my house. So let's get it right. Tomorrowland is an area, not a ride, Chris.
I'm sorry, I don't have money to go to Disneyland.
Well, you should have went all back when your dad was in the military like we did. That was the only reason we had money for it.
I think we did when I was like 2.
Oh, okay.
So I don't remember.
Fair enough. What? Oh yeah, and what's her name? Marnie. Marnie thought the intro that they just watched was illogical because, like, if Scream 6 happens in Scream 7, does that mean Scream 5 happens in Scream 6? Which, to be fair, that's not how every movie works. Like, whatever. But I thought it was a funny little quip of her not thinking it was illogical. And that's why she does not watch horror movies, because this franchise has an illogical timeline, so she can't watch any movie like it. Jenny likes the stab movies, except for 5 and its time travel.
Yeah.
Because they make Woodsboro known for something. Which, like, fair, I guess, but also known for a terrible thing. Is that really what you want your town to be known for?
For a terrible series of murders. Woo!
To be fair, only one set of those murders happened in Woodsboro.
That is true.
Excuse me. I'm getting all burpy. I'm sorry, audience. Jenny goes to investigate a noise upstairs, and Marnie answers a call from Ghostface. But wait, it's just Jenny pranking her. That silly Jenny.
Yeah.
Marnie seems to get killed while on the phone with Jenny, but Jenny goes back downstairs and doesn't believe it. She's like, she's just pranking me back, obviously. Until she gets a call from Ghostface, who then throws Marnie's body through the patio door right in front of her, which is a cool little, callback.
Scream 1.
Yeah, little callback to Scream 1. Lost my place again. I love that. I'm really professional. Lost my place. There it is, patio door. Jenny runs to the locked front door before running upstairs, also paying homage to Scream 1 and Scream 3.
Yeah?
Upstairs, she gets chased into this, like, to a different staircase. Like, there's, like, this part of her house that's, like, unfinished, and she goes into that part and gets stabbed on the staircase and falls down the stairs, and those stairs lead to her garage, where she tries to escape out the garage, but Ghostface closes the garage on her. Not in the exact same way from Scream 1, but once again, kind of
in Scream 1, yeah, she gets lifted into the air and crushed. This one, she actually gets crushed underneath.
Yeah, which...
like, yeah, reducing her mobility significantly. Yeah. But yeah, it definitely still feels...
It's definitely, I feel like definitely meant to be another homage.
Yeah. I would also just like to say that you skipped over a line that I found funny, where, Ghostface is on the phone with her, and he's calling her, a dumb blonde with a big person, big personality. And she's like, I've got an IQ of 213, or like 130 something.
It was a 4.0 GPA and an IQ of 135, I think, something like that.
Which is like
really smart,
genius.
Yeah. Which was you're right. That was funny. I kind of glossed over it, but you are right. That was a great line that I should have.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sure there'll be other lines that aren't as good that stuck out to me that I will then bring up later for no reason.
But despite her high IQ, she does still, die.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, being smart doesn't mean you're gonna survive this. I mean, that's unrelated.
I mean, with how clumsy Ghostface typically is, it should mean that
you have to be a main character to survive, Chris.
Yeah, you just have to start. You have to have main character energy.
Oh, were you not in Scream 1? Good luck.
Sorry, guess you're dying this movie.
Yeah.
Unless you're a cameraman.
Yeah.
And
other characters throughout the franchise, hypothetically, but just, in general, you die a lot. Like, there's been one or two here or there, but good luck surviving if you're not a Scream 1 cast member.
Right, it's not likely.
Yeah, you're here, you are cannon fodder. where was I? He kills her after. Well, actually, he kills her slightly off screen because it's the classic pull down the knife, transition into the title card that we have now come to know and love, I guess, or at least know and mildly deal with.
And no.
Yeah. I like it. It's fun. It's a fun little way to go to the title card. But yeah, we're at the title card. Then we head to Sydney, who is still played by Neve Campbell, and her publicist, Rebecca, who is played by Alison Brie of Community, Glow, and BoJack Horseman.
Yes.
Yeah, those are, I guess, the 3 favorite things I've seen her in. I'm sure she's done a lot more because she's a very talented actress. But yeah, she's in this movie, and she is Sydney's publicist. Publicist for what, you may be asking? Well, they're here for a book signing for Sydney's new book. Then we get a quick scene of Dewey, still played by the greatest champion in the history of all of wrestling, David Arquette.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Who was waking up in his bed with his wife, Gail, played by Courtney Cox once again.
Right.
Before he heads off to work as the sheriff. Aw, what? He's the sheriff now? Good for him.
He's graduated.
Well, technically, wasn't even a cop the last 2 movies. So he,
That's true.
went back into the force. We then see Kirby, played by Hayden Panettiere, of Heroes. Is probably the biggest thing she's done. She's done other work, though.
Yeah.
Until Dawn, if you're a video game fan, she was in that.
True.
Yeah, and she's picking up Jill, who is played by Emma Roberts of... I mean, I should probably read these other things first. Like Scream Queens, American Horror Story, sure. Yeah, those are big things, all part of the horror genre. More important, sure. But she's also in one of my favorite movies of all time, We're the Millers, so I will bring that up here, because that movie is one of the best comedies ever made. It's my opinion, and my opinion is the only one, besides Chris's, that matters on this podcast this week.
Yeah, that is true. That is
how
the only other opinion this week.
I think you enjoyed We're the Millers. You probably don't like it as much as I do, but I think I made you watch it and you liked it. I don't remember.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in that. And she's here. Also, we meet Olivia, who is played by Marielle Jaffe? Maybe? It's a weird last name. It's Jaffe. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but here's the thing. I don't have to ever try again, because I'm going to refer to her as Olivia for the rest of this podcast.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And they're discussing how Jill's ex, Trevor, is calling them, trying to get Jill to know how sorry he is. But, Jill's like, yeah, he cheated on me, I don't care.
Yeah, but also he didn't call her.
Yeah, there's also that. He called them. Yeah. Then we find out that Jill is the Angel of Death, Sydney's cousin. That is a nickname given to Sydney by Olivia, and doubled with
Kirby.
Kirby also agrees, because everyone that Sydney knows dies, which, let's be honest, true. Unless your name is Gail or Dewey, so far they've all died. That's not true. Her dad might be alive somewhere.
Yeah, he's probably alive. Just no one cares about him in this movie.
Yeah, he's only a character in the first movie.
Well, first and second.
Oh, you're right. He was in the second. I forgot. He's such a throwaway character in that second. It's the third movie, actually. He's not in the second movie. He comes back in the third movie.
Yep.
But yeah. So yeah, her cousin. They ask her about her cousin if she's seen her yet, and she says she hasn't, because they don't really actually know each other that well. Then Jill gets a call from Jenny's phone, but it's Ghostface. Oh no! Yeah, they hang up on him though. He asked them what's your favorite scary movie, because that's what he says.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And Olivia says she got a Ghostface call from Marnie that morning. Oh, this is a great example of dramatic irony, because we know they're dead.
Yeah.
Like my literary reference there, I took 6th grade English and remembered one thing.
Proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. We head to Dewey showing up in the town square to deal with some Ghostface style vandalism, not done by Ghostface, just a bunch of like Ghostface masks on everything.
Teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers.
Yeah. It honestly just looks like Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
You know,
honestly,
it's done in really poor taste.
Before this line, I thought it was something the town just has embraced as their thing and just did it. And I was like, oh, that's a little dark, but all right, town. But no, apparently it's a prank from the teenagers because, you know, one generation's tragedy is something. I forgot the second half of Dewey's line. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's something like, is there fun or something like that. As he talks to Deputy Judy, who is played by Marley
and me.
Shetton of she was in Grindhouse / Death Proof / Planet Terror, the Quentin Tarantino / Robert Rodriguez co-production weird movie that was 2 movies. She was actually in both of them, so she's credited as 3 different roles there, but technically it's only 2 different roles because Grindhouse is credited as its own movie on IMDb, even though it's not. It's very confusing. But the only reason one of those is a horror movie, but the only reason I'm bringing it up specifically is because she is actually in those movies with a Scream alumni, Rose McGowan, who played Tatum in the first movie. She is also in both those. She's also one of the few actresses or actors who was in both of the films. So yeah, there's our fun fact about Marley Shetton, I think is how the name is pronounced. I also might have forgot a letter. Maybe it was Marley Shelton. That feels like a real name. I've never heard of the name Shetton, but maybe it is Shetton. I don't know.
Or Deputy Judy.
Or Deputy Judy or probably just Judy is what I'll probably refer to her as going forward. Yeah. That's probably all I wrote. Yeah. Also, her last name is Hicks, so we'll throw that in here because I remembered it right now.
Judy Hicks.
Yes. And the thing we know about Judy right now is, for some reason, she is really flirtatious.
Crush on duty.
Yeah, and like really like trying to make moves on this married man who is also her boss. There are so many red flags on why she should not be trying.
A double whammy.
Yeah, he is a married man and also your boss. Maybe don't try to make jokes about how eating your lemon squares aren't cheating. It's like, why are you even bringing up cheating? Settle down there, Judy. But yeah, this little scene happens before they get called away to the crime scene from the intro. Not the intro within an intro, or the intro within an intro within an intro. The actual real intro. It's very confusing.
A real crime scene that actually happened.
We then cut to Gail, who has some serious writer's block. That's the scene, and we're moving on. At school, we meet the movie nerd / live stream blogger, his name is Robbie, who is played by Eric Knudsen of Saw 2. Hey, Saw 2 fans. He's in it.
Yeah. I think he's also in other stuff, but...
He was. I try to only pick typically one thing, unless there's a lot of things that really stick out to me personally. I try to pick out one of the things I feel like is the most relevant or biggest thing they've been in. And Saw 2, I think, was his top thing, and it's also horror, so I was like, that works.
Makes sense.
But we'll establish it here real quick, just because it's a weird, like, kind of before its time, but kind of perfectly predictive thing of, like, the way he, like, films everything. Like, this is 2011 when the movie came out, which means it was shot in, like, 2010. Like, RL streamers weren't really a thing then, for the most part. Like, I'm sure they were here or there, but, like, this guy is, like, streaming constantly, which, like, probably a little unrealistic for 2011, but... Cool, kind of cool.
Nowadays.
Kind of cool that they were able to kind of accidentally predict the future there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also meet the other movie nerd, Charlie, who is played by Rory Culkin. Who is
the lesser-known Culkin brother.
Yeah, he was in Signs, as well as his brother of Kieran and Macaulay, who both have had more successful careers than him, but he's still been in some things. Like, no, I'm not knocking Rory. Like, he still has a better career than most people in Hollywood. So,
fair.
But yeah, they ask the girls what their favorite scary movie is for Robbie's little vlog thing. But they all kind of are like dismissive of him. The only one who gives any bit of an answer is Kirby, who sarcastically answers Bambi. Which is, a terrifying movie.
Yeah. A mama deer does die.
That's true. In sight, we meet Jill's somewhat, like, right now, groveling ex, Trevor, who is played by Nico Tortella of Walking Dead World Beyond, the third Walking Dead show that I believe made it 2 seasons and is gone.
Rightfully so.
It's almost like maybe The Walking Dead it's been tapped out, and maybe we don't try to make a third show in that world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gail, then we cut to Gail, who reunites with Sydney at the bookstore. For the books at the book signing at the bookstore. But yeah. Then Dewey shows up to look for a phone that was taken from the crime scene. And oh my goodness, it's found covered in blood.
Oh my gosh.
The trunk of Sydney's car. What?
No way.
I'm scared now.
This is how? How's that possible? Sydney's the killer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it the whole time.
But yeah. Then we head to. Then we cut to a scene I didn't even write down. It's like a quick scene at the high school of them finding out about the murders. Before then, we cut to the station, where we get a scene of Gail, kind of a little interaction with her and Judy, kind of establishing the whole, Judy doesn't like Gail, / is literally just doing her job, yet I feel like we're supposed to look at her as the bad guy. She is but right.
Also, Gail doesn't like Judy.
Yeah.
Because
she knows
Gail definitely knows that Judy has a crush on her husband.
Yeah. But, also, to be fair, Judy is literally just doing her job in this scene. Gail shouldn't be here. She is not supposed to be here. She is not a cop. But yeah, so she tries to, let her in, but she tries to, just barge in, but, Judy kind of stops her for a little bit. They have a little funny interaction. The few scenes we have with them are fun. They have a good dynamic together. Then she goes in and starts talking to Dewey, and she starts saying, if there's a murder, why don't you let me know about it? And he's like, well, there's no murder yet. That's not public knowledge. How do you know that? She's like, it's all over the internet. And, there's just a good, quick, reaction of David Arquette, because he's so good at, his dumb little reactions of, wait, what? He's just so baffled. They're like, oh, crap. Oh,
wait, it is?
Oh, no. Yeah? That's not supposed to happen.
Oh, jeez.
Then the scene goes on for a little while, but the gist of it is Dewey won't let Gail help this time. So she's gonna just go rogue. Anna Paquin from X-Men. Rogue. Right? No? I mean, I'm right, but also, no.
Yeah. No.
I think it's Anna. I hope it's Anna Paquin who played Rogue. I hope I'm remembering which character she was in X-Men. I think she's Rogue. If not, that joke doesn't work. If I was wrong, cut that. Oh, we're not going to? Okay. We then go to Dewey and Judy, who are questioning Jill and Olivia about their phone calls. In the room, Kirby and Sydney are also there. And there's this really funny interaction where Kirby, talks about how she didn't get a phone call. And she's like, does that mean I'm going to die first? And Dewey's like, no, maybe. And it's her reaction, wait, what? I'm going to die next. It's classic Dewey's a bumbling idiot / Hayden Panettiere is also great in this scene. So, it just really works. It's really funny. But honestly, obviously, yes, more could have happened off screen. But when it comes to questioning these girls about their phone calls, they do a terrible job. Because we kind of just immediately cut to Sydney be like, well, if I'm going to leave now, and they're like, well, you can't, because, you're definitely a suspect, and if not, at the very least, a material witness, so no, you can't leave. Yeah. I mean, the scene is more about, that part, and then, once again, it's Sydney or Kirby are the two things to remember from that scene, not the two girls who should have been questioned. They get, none of the details from them. Mostly from Kirby. Outside, Rebecca is way too happy about these murders and what it could do for the book sales.
Yeah.
But, you know, kind of, I think I remember seeing someone say this. I don't remember who it was. It's kind of a cool, like, once again, kind of mirroring of the first one. And Gail was also very excited about what it could do for her book. So it's kind of very similar little beats here.
Yeah.
But yeah. So she's way too excited about this. And then she has this funny little scene with Gail talking about the, like, unlikeliness of her and Dewey's marriage, like, working in real life and not just a movie, which we'll come back to that little joke and why it's even more relevant in about another scene or two. But yeah. Then we have a quick, funny scene between Kirby, Jill, and Jill's mother, also Sydney's aunt, Kate.
Yep.
I'm only gonna do it once. I just thought anytime there's a mother in a thing, I'm gonna bring back the Billy's mother voice, Chris. Just accept it. It's the thing now.
So glad that it is.
Yeah. But yeah, this scene's really funny though, because like Aunt Kate is very like Kirby's like, oh, I can't imagine the scars on on Sydney, and Aunt Kate's like, I have scars too. And then Jill's like, she means knife scars, Mom. And she's like, oh. It was so delivered so well by, you know, Jill's. No, I'm just kidding. By Aunt Kate.
No one asked me about knife
It's like, all right, settle. It was great.
Let's relax.
Yeah,
she's a literal.
Yeah.
Almost murder victim.
Yeah, like, and here's the thing. Like, this is one of those scenes that I should definitely just skip over because it means nothing to the plot. But it is so funny. It is such a good scene. It deserves to be brought up. And then we cut to the more meat of this scene, which is Dewey and Sydney talking about how his marriage isn't working right now and how, you know, Gail's not happy being there anymore in Woodsboro. And then he, you know, pulls Dewey, and he's able to quote Sid's book with exact page references again.
Yeah, classic Dewey.
He is a savant when it comes to reading, apparently. He had a photographic memory to page numbers, even, of quotes. Yeah. This is where we're going to bring up kind of a little sad fact instead of a fun fact. Is this whole, like, this part with him and, you know, it's too good to be true is kind of really sad, because it was in 2010, Courtney Cox and David Arquette actually separated before finalizing their divorce in 2012. So, like, during this movie and this filming, they were not in a relationship really anymore. They were still legally married, but they were not together anymore. So, it's really, like, darkly, like, poetic and sad to be like, your relationship could never really work. And him being like, and then you have Dewey being like, you know, maybe it'll get better. And it's like, oh, jeez. Like, oh, gosh. All right.
Yeah.
David, I hope it gets better for you. But it doesn't. Well, I mean, I think he's happily, like, remarried, so it does get better. But this relationship does end, which is, you know, it happens. But, you know, it is kind of, once again, classic, you know, Scream's real-life meta-ness that I feel like they felt the need to, you know, write it kind of into the story, it seems, which, you know, you gotta explain why, I guess, I don't know. But, you know, it is what it is. So, they have relationship woes. Then upstairs, Jill is surprised by Trevor, who's in her bedroom. But he, you know...
the killer.
Maybe. But he leaves after Sydney, like, walks in. And then Sydney's like, oh, you remind me of me.
Yep.
And then she leaves. And, like, right after she leaves, she goes, like, out into the hallway. We get this really, like, weird scene of, like, Judy, like, in the shadows. Being, like, real creepy. Talking about, like, how we went to high school together. You don't remember me, do you? And it's like, all right, Judy, settle down.
Yeah.
All right, Judy.
Kind of just, you know, hanging out in the darkness.
Judy, cover up. Your red herring is showing.
Yeah.
Or is it? Or is she...
It also doesn't help that she has, like, this weird vacant stare.
Yeah.
Just, like...
But maybe she's playing on that. Maybe. Who knows?
Normally.
I don't know. But, yeah. It's definitely a thing where they really want you to think that Judy's acting kind of creepy here.
Yeah.
Outside, we meet the cops who are guarding the house. We meet Deputy Perkins, who is played by Anthony Anderson, who starred in Kangaroo Jack alongside Jerry O'Connell of Scream 2. As well as he's like in, Blackish now, which is a huge sitcom, and once again, probably what I should bring up. But I'm going to bring up the Scream connection.
Fair.
Also, I think, fun fact, is he was also like in one of the Scary Movies, which is, a parody. Was started out as a series that was literally making fun of Scream. So it's kind of funny that he went from that to now being able to be in an actual Scream movie.
Yeah.
And we also meet Deputy Hobbs, who is played by Adam Brody of the OC. And, for a horror reference, he was also in Ready or Not. That's Adam Brody. Then we go back inside. And Kirby and Jill are watching Shaun of the Dead when Olivia...
Yeah.
Sorry?
Great movie, by the way.
I haven't seen it, but I assume it's great because it's, a horror comedy that I've heard great things about, and I'm sure I will love it when I get around to watching it.
Yeah, pretty phenomenal. I hope we cover that movie soon.
I mean, it's not soon, but it's on the schedule.
Woo!
But yeah, I think we're covering that either in a horror comedy like little grouping I have together, or it's during like a zombie grouping. I don't remember which one I have it in. It's somewhere. We're covering it when it makes sense in an arc at some point.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look forward to that arc.
Yeah.
Or don't.
Yeah, or don't. That's fine.
Fair, I guess.
Live your life.
I'll be super happy when we cover.
Fair enough.
Love that movie.
Back inside. I already read that. Sorry.
Yep.
They're watching
Shaun of the Dead.
When Olivia calls Kirby, but she doesn't want to join them because of Sydney being in the house. Then she
doesn't want to be around the Angel of Death, guys. Yeah. She might die.
So yeah, she hangs up. Then Jill decides to call Olivia on Kirby's phone and tries to scare her with a really bad Ghostface impression. But Olivia is like, yeah, you shut up, Jill. This is terrible. I also want to bring up something just because I want to call it out when bad things happen in movies too. This scene, for some reason, what's her name? Olivia's character is just, gratuitously in her underwear. And like, yes, the actress was 22. But the character is supposed to be at like 17. That's just creepy and wrong. And unnecessary. And it's like, feels lingering on her body. And like, here's the thing. Yes, she is technically an adult, so there is technically nothing wrong with it. But it's still a little gross. And I just want to call it out for being a little gross. We don't need to over-sexualize a character that's supposed to be in high school. And now we'll move on. Because, once again, it's technically not important to the scene, but it's there, and it's annoying, and it shouldn't be. But, yeah. Jill then gets a call from Trevor, Kirby. So, Kirby takes it for her, but what? It's not Trevor, it's actually Ghostface.
Ghostface, or is it?
Whispering. He knows what movie they're watching, too. What? How could he know that? Because you know how? You know why? Because he's
in the closet.
Standing in the closet. And after, honestly, a really well-done little suspenseful scene, Kirby opens the closet and he's not there, and he's like, I didn't say your closet. And then he pops out of Olivia's closet and brutally kills her. He stabs the crap out of her. Then Sydney goes over to the house. She first tries to go get help from the cops, but they're not there. So she has to go into the house on her own. Inside, she can't find Ghostface. He's nowhere to be seen. But she does see Olivia's, like, gutted corpse. Like, this is the point where we, like, get the reveal, like, her, like, literal intestines are spilling out.
Yeah.
And then Sydney answers a call from Ghostface, where he's basically just like, I want you, not them. But, but not yet. I'm not ready to get you yet. That's the gist of it. Before Jill shows up, and she calls Sydney the Angel of Death again. And then Ghostface pops out behind Jill, And Sydney pushes Jill out of the way just in time to not get, killed, but she does get a little scrape on her arm from Ghostface, or I guess a deep cut, I don't know. They don't really ever show it how deep it is, but it's a little scrape feels probably too little from what it's supposed to be in the scene. She gets a cut.
Slice.
Yeah, she gets a cut on her arm. And then...
parallel to Scream 3, or...
Scream 2, when Jerry O'Connell, star of... just keep reference all the things that connect it. Who's in there with Anthony?
Jerry O'Connell, the star of Kangaroo Jack.
Alongside... No, just kidding. We're going to stop.
Alongside Anthony Anderson, also known as Sheriff. Deputy Officer Guy.
Deputy Perkins. But no. But yes. It is a little, reminiscent of... I forgot his character's name. But, Sydney's boyfriend... played by Jerry O'Connell in Scream 2. But yeah. So Sydney and Ghostface kind of get in a little fight back and forth. And she eventually pushes him down the stairs before, Ghostface is able to escape, though. Right as Perkins and Hobbs show up. Then a few seconds later, Trevor shows up. And then a few seconds after that even... Kirby shows up. Outside, the town is blaming Sydney, which I felt was such a weird little scene. There's because it's so barely audible. It's people apparently across the street going, "You suck. You're like your mom. You're the worst." It's what's going on in this scene?
Yeah.
None of those are exact quotes, but they're the gist of it.
They are.
And then that apparently is enough.
I also had subtitles on.
Yeah. I also had subtitles on, but I still thought that scene was just so weird.
Yeah, it was.
Before... That's apparently enough, though, for Jill to, kind of feel bad for seeing her go through that. So Jill comes back over and is like, "Hey, I'm sorry for what I said about you, being the angel of death." Then we cut to Gail, who goes and enlists Robbie and Charlie to help her in exchange for a visit by her to Cinema Club. But they would prefer a visit from Sydney, which we, I guess, do find out in a couple scenes that she gets that. The scene doesn't end with her saying, "Okay, fine." So I guess she agrees and is able to get Sydney to agree as well. So they're going to help her. Then we head to the hospital, where Sydney fires Rebecca for being just really the worst person to ever exist. She is very heartless and only cares about making money, which, the grind is real. I get it. Fair enough. But maybe know the person you're working with, read her book, and know that maybe she wouldn't want to, capitalize on tragedy.
Right.
Go talk to Gail Weathers. She might help you write a book. But then after she gets fired, we head to the... Oh, my camera freaked out. I think it fixed itself. All right. Sorry.
Head to the parking garage.
Head to the parking garage. Woo! Where Rebecca gets a call from Ghostface, who asks for Sydney. Rebecca asks if she can take a message, and Ghostface responds, "You are the message," which I thought was a great line. I was like, "Oh, dang, Ghostface."
Very ominous.
Yeah, and she tries to leave in her car, but it won't start. And Ghostface hops on the hood and scares her, and she turns around screaming. And when she turns back, Ghostface is gone. So she decides to run to try to escape, but Ghostface catches her and stabs her in the gut.
Yep.
We then cut to a press conference where Dewey tells the press and Gail they're close to bringing the situation under control, just as Rebecca's body comes flying off of the top of the
parking garage
onto a news van right next to him.
Press conference is happening right outside of the parking garage. Well, it's
at the hospital.
Outside of the hospital.
Yeah.
But either way.
Yeah.
Interesting place to hold a press conference.
I guess. I mean, I'm fine with it. I didn't question it at all in the movie. But
it does crash right on top of it.
Yeah, it is cool. It's a cool scene, okay?
Yeah, no, that's cool.
And then Gail tells Dewey she already has a lead, and hey, if you want to be on Team Gail again, let me know. And she leaves. Ooh, oh no, is their marriage in trouble? In real life, yes. Sorry, I don't know why that made me laugh so much.
Yes, it is.
The next day at Cinema Club, Charlie and Robbie say that the killer should film what he does like Robbie does, but not like Robbie. Neither of us think Robbie's doing it.
Right.
Then
that is the next evolution of the Ghostface killer.
Then they also say that
them.
the killer is... Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just saying that is the next evolution of the Ghostface killer, according to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Then they say that the killer is clearly a stab fanatic working on a remake and not a sequel, because that's all studios greenlight these days. Which is also kind of a little fun fact there. I mean, one, it's just true around that time, but also initially, the kind of story behind Scream 4 was just the studio decided we want to make another Scream movie, and then started getting everyone involved, and hey, they ended up getting everyone that they could have wanted, to get that perfect thing back, and we got Scream 4, and it's a continuation of the story, but they didn't care. And so it sounded like it was a very good chance that this movie would have just been a remake if it wasn't for the fact that everyone was willing to come back. Because Bob Weinstein wanted to make some money, and once again, it's the grind, I understand, and we don't hate Bob, we hate the other one.
He's on that Gale Weathers grind set.
Yeah. Yeah. Then they explain the new remake rules, which to be fair are not numbered this time, so it's going to be more of me just kind of reading a little paragraph here that they kind of said. The unexpected is the new cliche. You have to have an opening that blows the door off. You have to have a flashy music video direction. And the kills have to be more extreme. Which I feel like, for the most part, they did. I don't know if I'd say this felt like any more music video-esque. I feel like that's kind of a reference to Rob Zombie's Halloween. But I don't really feel like this felt any more music video style than any of the other movies they did. Because, it's literally the same director of photography that they've had the whole series. So it didn't feel different. But yeah. And same director as well. But whatever. Everything else, I will say, so far, this movie had a really weird, cool opening that surprised me, especially the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
And the kills are definitely way more gory than they've been before. Sometimes they aren't. It's just sometimes it's a quick, they cut away. But when you, see someone get really killed, it's normally oh, brutal.
Yeah, there is one kill that I will go, whoa, I was impressed and a little bit caught off guard by this one. And we'll get to that when we get to it.
I mean, personally felt that way definitely about Olivia's kill. There was a lot of blood in that kill, and her organs were literally spilling out. That was cool. But yeah, I gotta leave off. Then also, what else? What other facts do we have about this new thing? And I read that because they have to do all those things because a modern audience have become savvy to the rules of the originals. So the reversals become the new standards. And then they add that the surefire way to survive a modern horror movie is to be gay. Which and every video I watched on this franchise, on this movie, pointed out, have no idea where that's coming from. That is not a thing that was happening regularly in horror movies around this time or anything. It's just not a thing.
Yeah. Not aware of a whole bunch of horror movies that were killing exclusively
the straights. Yeah, that's not a thing. But fine, I guess, whatever. But I want to point out it wasn't just me; it was everyone. Literally, that brought up was probably at least 2 of the 3 videos I watched, where they were yeah, I don't know where they got this. It's me neither, because it's just not a thing. There might be a movie that's an outlier that's oh, well, this movie. It's okay, fine. That movie might exist. But this wasn't the new rule. But they add it to the new rules list, apparently, here.
I think less.
Yeah. Then Gail asks why they think the killer would not kill gay people. No, she doesn't. They move on from that line. She asks...
Thankfully.
why they think the killers are following the remake rules. And they point to the similarities of 2 kills while the parents weren't home, and then the kill of the hot girl. So now it's going to be at a party. And now I'm going to take a pause before we get back to what they say, because I want to point out that this just isn't accurate to the original Scream. The first 2 kills, sure. While someone wasn't home, that's true. The third kill in Scream was Principal Hembry. And then Tatum dies at the party. Like, the hot girl doesn't die before the party, she dies at the party. So, true. Unless, and I respect it if they are, they're saying that Henry Winkler was the hot girl that died. It is not accurate. I mean, he was the Fonz, so I understand, but...
He was the Fonz, hey!
I mean, Principal Hembry was one of the hottest people killed in that movie. But yeah, I just thought it was weird that, like, you would think the same writer would have remembered the exact format of the movie they're referencing here, but maybe in Stab it's a little different. Maybe in Stab, Hembry doesn't die. So... Tatum would be next. I don't know. But yeah. Then Gale and Sydney ask, like, hey, do you know where, like, a party's happening or anything like that? And, you know, Charlie and Robbie do know of a party that's happening because they're throwing...
Stabathon.
Yeah, they're throwing a party tonight, and that's Stabathon, which is a, you know, big movie marathon of all 7 Stab movies. But and Gale and Sydney are like, all right, cool, don't do that. That's bad. Yeah. That'd be a bad idea right now. They're like, yeah, no, but we're gonna. We're not the only party. It's Friday night. Come on. And, you know, I guess technically that's probably true, but also, like, whatever.
Yeah, holding the Stabathon after, you know, the copycat killers have started killing. Definitely.
You would think it's a weird thing that you would not think is the best idea right now. Gale and Sydney then leave when they won't cancel. Also, like, Gale wants to know, like, where it is, and they won't tell her that either. So they head off. Which, you know, no Q&A for the cinema club. Very sad. Gale, Sydney and Jill then have this little heart-to-heart where Jill asks Sydney, you know, how does she handle people staring at her all the time? And Sydney says that she focuses on the people she cares about instead of herself. And, you know, it's a really cute little scene of them kind of, like, showing the similarities between the two of them, you know. This Jill, she just wants to be a normal girl. This is too much for her to handle right now.
Yep.
We have nothing to say here, right? We're both going to move on? Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, well, let's move on.
let's move on, shall we?
Yeah. I lost my place, though. Yes. Kirby, Trevor, and Gale are all at Stabathon. Gale sneaks around in a Ghostface mask as Robbie and Charlie welcome everyone to Stabathon. Then Stab starts, and the music in the opening credits are different than they were in Scream 2. What? Because this is the only Scream film as of recording where the song Red Right Hand does not appear. And that was the song that plays in that scene of Scream 2. So, you know, I guess the home video release was not able to get the rights to the song. Happens. In her car, Gale watches as one by one her cameras go black. Then but the last one, she's able to see it as it happens, as she sees Ghostface doing it. Whoa. So Gale calls Dewey and tells him to come because, you know, she thinks Ghostface is going to attack because of how meta it would be. Dewey doesn't know what the word meta is, and honestly, neither does Gale, as she tells him. She just heard them saying it, which I thought was, once again, just a really cute. Once again, thank you, Kevin Williamson, for your writing. It is great. So Gale goes back inside to try and, you know, fix her cameras when she sees a different camera set up. What? And while she's doing this, she's, like, holding her camera behind her, so it's pointing behind her. Because that's important, because while she's doing...
Dewey's arrived.
Yeah, Dewey's arrived, and he gets to watch as Gale is being stalked by Ghostface and is about to, stab her. But, so he runs in to save the day and scare off Ghostface, but he is a couple seconds too late because Ghostface does stab Gale in the shoulder. Then Gale tells Dewey about the other camera and how Ghostface is making the movie this time.
Bum, bum.
Then we have a funny little scene between Hobbs and Perkins, who discuss how cops always die in movies, unless you're Bruce Willis. Then Hobbs goes on a perimeter check. Inside, Sydney is spooked by some wind chimes, so she goes to take them down. Then we come back out to Hobbs, who sees that Jill's window is open. So he goes to talk to Perkins about it, but Perkins isn't answering him. What? Oh, Perkins is dead? Nah, he's just messing with him. And we also, in this scene, find out that his actual name is Anthony Perkins, which is a reference to Psycho, because that is the actor who plays... I'm blanking on the character's name. Norman Bates. Yeah, it is played by Anthony Perkins, so this character is also named Anthony Perkins. Because, this movie, they like Psycho. It's a classic, it's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah. Lost my place. Right here. Yeah, so then after that little scene of them being funny, we find out that, he was just joking. Well, here comes Ghostface, who runs up and just stabs Hobbs in the back, killing him with one stab to the back. And then he stabs Perkins in the forehead.
Right through the forehead.
Yeah. And it's brutal as he just bleeds and, he tries to get out of the car and walk a little bit before he eventually falls down. Which I believe I remember reading or hearing in a video. Probably that. I don't read. That this was actually based off of, a real thing that Wes Craven had heard happened. Obviously, I'm not citing the source. I don't know if that's 100% true, but he had heard about something like this happening, and that's where he got the idea for this kill. So, I don't know.
Wild.
Yeah. But it was cool. And, he gets in one last line of, F-bomb Bruce Willis, which, fun. Anthony Perkins goes out dying as he was in life. A funny man. Then we cut back inside where Sydney hears the wind chimes going again. But it's just her aunt returning with groceries. Then her aunt heads back outside to get one last bag, and Sydney answers the phone because Jill doesn't when she yells for Jill to do it. And what? Who is it? Who could it be? Did you guess Ghostface? Well, you win our prize today, which is nothing, because it was very, very obvious who it would have been. Come on. Are you paying attention to what movie this is? But yeah, so it's Ghostface, and he's telling her to, turn on the news, where she finds out about Gale being stabbed, and he's like, see, I'm going after people you care about, and you know who you'd care about the most? Family, so I'm going to kill family next.
Are you Vin Diesel? We're killing your family.
So she goes upstairs to find that Jill's not there because she went to Kirby's house. And then Sydney and her aunt try to leave to go find Jill. But at the back door, there's Ghostface. So they close the door and they run away and they head to the front door. It's Ghostface! But they do manage to close the door. It's a struggle. They were able to do it by Sydney's aunt, Kate, getting on the floor to brace and push off the wall. But then once they close the door,
Aunt Kate stabbed in the back through the door.
Yeah, through the mail slot, which was that was pretty cool. That was cool. That's it. She's dead. And Sydney's about to leave when what? Why is she here? Deputy Judy shows up just right after Ghostface left, but Sydney is still able to sneak away while Judy checks on Aunt Kate's body. We then quickly head to the hospital where Gale tells Dewey to catch Ghostface. That's about it, but it's, I guess a little transition scene before we can cut back to the other scene. We then head to Kirby's house for the after party, where Jill is there. Party. And we also have a freaking out Robbie because, it looks really bad on him. He was told not to have this party, then someone got stabbed at a party. Fair reaction there. We also have Kirby, who is a little drunk. And Charlie, who wants to watch Stab 7. He's impressed by Kirby's horror movie collection, and she says that she could, out-trivia him like any day. So he asks her, who plays the first Leatherface? Chris, who plays the first Leatherface?
Bubba is not his name.
No.
I can't remember his name.
Gunnar Hansen. You would not would not have impressed Charlie in this moment.
No.
But Kirby does, because she gets it right.
That is Gunnar Hansen. Yeah.
Then Trevor shows up uninvited, and he comes through the front door, which Charlie forgot to lock. But Trevor says he got an invite from Jill, but Jill doesn't even have her phone. She doesn't know where it is.
Yeah.
We cut to Judy calling Dewey and informing him about the new killings. Then we cut back to the after party. And Robbie goes outside and starts vlogging again, but he runs into a plant and knocks off his headset, and when he puts it back on, it's backwards.
Oh.
Back inside, Charlie and Kirby, kind of start flirting a little bit, because Kirby's basically like, make a move now, you idiot.
I'm tipsy. Hello?
I'm lonely, drunk, and you're kind of cute. Kiss me. So he does, but that dang Trevor walks in and ruins the moment. So Charlie, he storms off, and then Trevor, after realizing what happens, leaves laughing to go upstairs to look for Jill. Outside, Robbie realizes his headset is backwards, and he fixes it, then to get attacked by Ghostface in front of him. Which I will say is a really cool scene, because it kind of plays on your expectations after seeing Gale. When you see his camera go backwards, you're like, oh, Ghostface can attack him from behind. But then he fixes the camera, and then Ghostface pops out in front of him. I thought it was a cool subversion of, they already did the kill from behind, but you still they're going to do it again with now this camera, so it's different. But they just did it the other way. They reversed. I liked it. I respect it.
Because he is trying to, get perspective on what the camera is seeing from the vlog's point of view.
Yeah. Robbie tries to bring up that he's gay to save himself, but
does not work.
Hey, Robbie, that's not a thing in anything, as we've already established. Good for you for being, open enough to tell Ghostface this, but, it's not going to save your life. Ghostface is an indiscriminate killer who will kill you no matter what. Inside, Kirby reunites with Jill, who said Trevor didn't come upstairs. What? So they opened the door to see if maybe the guys were outside, and Sydney arrived. And then Robbie stumbles up all bloody, and he dies right in front of them, telling them to run, and then followed very closely by Ghostface, who is able to get inside with them. They are able to get upstairs thanks to Sydney giving a good kick to Ghostface, knocking him down the stairs. Then Sydney and Jill get to her room, and Sydney has Jill hide under the bed while she gets Ghostface to follow her onto the balcony. But he actually turns back. She doesn't realize this. And she calls Dewey, and then gets surprised by Ghostface, who had circled around, is on the other side now. And he's able to knock her off the roof, because she just likes to fall off roofs. She's like Chris here, loves to fall off roofs.
Yeah.
But,
kindred soul.
Yeah, this was a safer roof fall, because she's able to catch on and just kind of fall a little bit. But she does fall off another roof.
Yeah.
Inside, though, she is able to... Wait, no, wrong spot. I jumped a little too far. She does go back inside, and Kirby and Sydney end up going downstairs to hide downstairs. And you'd think, this is a basement, but this is actually, a split-level house. Because, the front door is on... So the house is on a hill, because the base... What feels like it should be a basement does have, access to outside. So it is it's a split level. I actually used to live in a split level, so I remember this, but it is something that's definitely not very common in Texas. So I will bring it up, which, not that anyone who listens to our podcast might not be from Texas, but who cares? The point is, you may not know what a split level is, and you might have thought they were going down to the basement, and they were really confused. And I can understand that. But it's a split level house. There's the housing market knowledge of Austin. So they're downstairs. But they're like the thing is I refer to the main floor as downstairs at other points, so it's it was confusing once I saw them go downstairs. Like, oh crap, now what do I write in the notes? So
the lower level.
They go to the lowest level,
but maybe garage.
Yeah, I don't know. They're down there, and outside, Charlie is begging to be let in, but Kirby doesn't because at Sydney's, you're like, hey, can you trust him? And she doesn't know if she can, so she leaves him outside. And he gets attacked by Ghostface, and he knocks him down and drags him off. Before we cut away for a quick cut of Dewey driving, before we cut immediately back to the lights coming back on, and what? Charlie's tied up like Steve from the original Scream.
Yeah.
And Kirby gets a call from Ghostface. And Sydney goes to get Jill. He asks her a little horror quiz about specifically horror weapons. He, asks her, what was Jason's weapon? She says machete. Michael, his knife. Leatherface, chainsaw. Freddy, his claws. He then asks her, what was the first slasher? And he gives her the options: Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last House on the Left, or Psycho. She answers Psycho. And he says wrong. It was 1960s Peeping Tom was the first movie to put the audience in the killer's point of view. Which was a little bit of a jerk move, Ghostface, to not give her that option. How was she supposed to know?
Yeah.
Pretty rude. Then she asks for one more chance, and Ghostface, he obliges, and starts to ask a question about a horror remake, and she cuts him off before he even finishes the question and just lists 10 remakes, and is like, it's one of those, right? And there's no answer from Ghostface. Ooh. And she assumes that means she must have got it right. And we head upstairs where Sydney can't find Jill. She's not where she left her.
She's not under the bed anymore.
Oh no. Back downstairs at the lowest level, Kirby goes to free Charlie, and then Charlie, he stabs her twice and leaves her for dead. You might say, and kills her, right? Technically, no. According to Wes Craven at the time, he said that he always thought she lived. And, spoiler for people who might not want to know this, sorry. She has been officially announced to be in Scream 6. So she's alive. She's coming back.
I didn't know that.
I'm down. I thought Hayden Panettiere was awesome in this movie, so I'm down for some more Kirby.
I like Kirby's character.
Yeah, she's a cool character. But yeah, she's alive. She's left for dead. And that was part of Wes Craven's initial vision. He didn't want her to be dead, so so she's alive.
We got a real Dewey situation, but instead she comes back 2 movies later.
I'll be honest, there might be more blood in this scene than any of the times we saw Dewey get killed. There's a pool of blood. Not Dewey,
I don't
right?
know. Dewey gets stabbed 8 times.
Yeah, no, he should have died in 2. In 1, he probably should have lived. It was one stab to the back. Yeah. But there's a pool of blood. I have trouble believing she would have lived, but yeah, I guess she lives.
That was Charlie's move. He made it.
Yep. Because, how dare her not like him when he wanted her to like him. Yep. Inside, Sydney is grabbed by Charlie. And then she fights him off and runs away right into a gut stab from the other Ghostface, who reveals to be Jill. Yeah, it's Jill. At this point, it's kind of pretty obvious. There's literally no one else left. Yeah. I guess it could have somehow Officer Judy got there quickly, but that's the only other option that's even halfway kind of possible.
Feasible.
Yeah. And then they reveal that their plan is to use Trevor as the scapegoat. And then Jill shoots Trevor in the pee-pee before shooting him in his other head.
Yeah.
Then they reveal how they're the remakes of Sydney and Randy, and how the world will get to see what happened to them. They don't have to read it because reading's lame. Jill reveals it was so hard to live in Sydney's shadow. It was always about Sydney and never about her. And then Sydney, he preps himself, very Stumacher-esque, not quite to like the fun level of him, but just like he like repeats like "get it up" as he's like trying to wait for him about to get stabbed because they gotta make it look like they were attacked. But instead of stabbing him in the shoulder like they rehearsed, Jill stabs him right in the heart. And he dies. And we find out that it's because, he's actually not Remake Randy. He's Remake Stu. Because the media loves a sole survivor. Jill says she doesn't need friends. She needs fans. And it's not about killing Sydney. It's about becoming Sydney. She says she just wants to be famous. And, nowadays you don't have to achieve anything. You just have to have messed up stuff happen to you. So, all she cares about is being famous. I feel like this is a little bit of a weird little speech from her. Because it feels kind of like probably Kevin Williamson trying to, like, make, like, a dig at, like, modern celebrity at that time. But then it's, like, this character who's, like, saying it, but then, like, also wants to be it, which felt really weird. Like, you don't have to do anything or achieve anything anymore, and that's what I want. It's like, wait, what? It feels like that, like, kind of like that almost boomerish kind of, like, dig of, like, oh, these kids, they just get on the TikTok and now they're famous. And she's like, I want that. But she says, like, the first half of it like she's the boomer. It's weird. It seems almost like she's condemning it before going, like, and that's what I want for life. It's like, oh.
Well, it's the writer who's condemning it before.
But the point is, it's still her, but it's her character saying it.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I'm saying is, yes, I understand that it was Kevin Williamson writing it, and, that's a fair statement. This is, like, late 2000, early 2000 teens. This is, like, peak Kardashians Jersey Shore. I get what he's saying about people becoming famous for doing literally nothing. Like, fair. But it's weird to have the character say that who then wants that to be them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. Then she stabs Sydney really deep in the gut. And, Sydney falls over. Presumably dead. She then no, I read that. She then goes through, like, this. Honestly, this is one of my favorite scenes in this movie, the scene we're about to have here, of Jill, like, prepping herself to look like a victim. She walks over, first thing she does is she takes Trevor's hand and uses his nails to scratch herself in the face and draw blood. Then she uses his hand to pull out her hair. She then runs face first. No, sorry, that's not next. Then she takes the knife and uses the corner of a wall to ram it into her shoulder so she has enough force to get it in. Then she runs head first into a picture frame, smashing it over her face. Yeah. Then she's decided that, hey, I want to have the best wrestling career from anyone from this movie. Screw you, David Arquette. As she jumps up into the air and takes the most beautiful back bump I've ever seen through the glass coffee table. Before then hobbling over and lying down right next to Sydney. Looking right face to face with her. Then we see the cop show up. Dewey, Judy, and the randos who show up, and then we cut outside to Jill, getting kind of what she wanted as she's swarmed by media while on a stretcher, being stretchered off. We then cut to Jill waking up in the hospital with Dewey talking to her, talking about, like, hey, being real nice because he's Dewey, and Dewey's a great person. But she then, during the conversation, she's like, oh, all my friends are dead. I'm so sad. Oh, how's your wife doing? And, she tells him that, like, oh, she's so happy she's okay. She wants Gail and her to write a book together because they have matching wounds.
Stab wounds.
And he's like, aw. She ends by saying she wishes Sydney was a survivor too, like her and Gail. And Dewey then very happily informs her that Sydney's probably going to be okay. Which, as we know now, but he does not. Jill is not happy about that. So Dewey leaves. And then, like, the second he's out of the room, she's immediately popped up out of the bed, pulling all her stuff off to go finish what she started by killing Sydney. Then we head to Dewey, who is talking to Gale, who's kind of confused that Jill knew about their matching wounds. Like, how would she have known that? And that's the moment where Dewey realizes, like, oh, crap. And he runs out. I don't think he actually, I think he says something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, he runs out the door because he's figured it out. We then cut to Sydney, who is waking up and then starts getting choked by Jill. They fight back and forth for a little bit before Jill gets the upper hand by just, like, kneeing the wounds in Sydney's gut. Dewey runs in, but is knocked out by a bedpan-wielding Jill. Jill is about to shoot Sydney when Gale comes in. And then, now the gun's pointed at Gale, and she's about to get shot. But, Judy comes in just at the right second to tackle Gale down, just in time to save her. Jill then threatens to shoot Dewey if Judy tries to, like, shoot at her. Like, so give me the gun. So Judy throws her gun away, and then Jill shoots her. Jill has Gale stand up and is about to shoot her when Gale asks for one final word. And it's clear. Right as Sydney defibrillates Jill's head, and Dewey comes to and says, she was standing right behind me, and Sid says, they always are, and turns around and kills a now standing back up Jill with a shot to the stomach. Then Judy pops up, and she's still alive because she's wearing, armor. She's wearing a bulletproof vest.
Bulletproof vest?
Yeah. It's that stupid video games. Like, I know it's a bulletproof vest, but I go like, oh, body armor, because video game. I know what it is, but my brain goes, body armor, yes. Which it is technically, but...
It is also that, yes.
But yeah. And then Sydney lies down next to Jill, like Jill had done to her at Kirby's. And then the movie ends with Jill getting the hero coverage she wanted from all the media outside.
Yeah.
And that's how the movie ends. Before we head into final thoughts, unless you have any thoughts about those scenes specifically, because I was kind of rushing through it because it was all one scene. If you have any thoughts on that specific scene you want to share right now, feel free.
Yeah, I don't know if I have any specific thoughts. I do like the dramatic irony of us seeing Jill, do all these terrible things and try to kill all these people, and then her getting the news coverage that she wanted, even though knowing that probably is not going to be the case.
The next day they're going to have to
very much longer. Yeah,
take it back.
Take all that back.
We find out she was actually horrible. It's like but it is cool to it's kind of like it's once again kind of reminiscent of his previous Scream movie of kind of like Cotton getting the fame he wanted. But, he actually got to have it. She does not, because she doesn't deserve it. Not that Cotton did either, but he deserved it more than her because he wasn't evil. But, yeah, before we head to our final thoughts, I want to have a quick little talk about Wes Craven. Because Wes Craven is amazing, and this was the final movie Wes Craven ever got to make. This movie came out in 2011, and he passed away in, I believe it's 2015. It might have been 2014. But it was shortly after this, and I think he might have got, because I think he died of a form of cancer, and I think he got it, right after the movie. This was the last thing he was ever going to be able to do. And, Wes Craven, we've talked about it before, but, Wes Craven is, a visionary when it comes to, horror directing. The man, made a crazy, successful horror movie, every decade. They talked about a couple of them here, but, The Last House on the Left was a big movie in the 70s. He then made The Hills Have Eyes, I believe, in the late 70s or into the early 80s. And then he had,
Nightmare on
Elm Street, probably his most famous work. And then he had Scream in the 90s. And that was kind of the end of him having, prolific, groundbreaking work. But, the man is a legend and one of the best horror directors ever. And, this is the last movie he made. It's not the last time we'll cover him. We'll talk about The Hills Have Eyes at some point. We'll probably talk about... we probably won't ever talk about Last House on the Left, because that is a something revenge movie is the subgenre there, and it's just too hard of a thing to talk about. on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's literally built into like the plot of those type of movies, so we will probably never
the central point of the plot.
So we will probably never cover that movie. I haven't seen the movie, and I'm not trying to say that the movie's terrible because of that plot. No, it could have merit, even being that type of like a revenge film, but we just probably won't ever cover them because logistics. But he's a prolific creator who deserves all the credit he's already gotten and more, probably. Like he's a legend and he is missed.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now for our final thoughts on Scream 4. I really like it. It's not the best Scream by any means. It's probably not even the best Scream sequel, but it's not 3, which even that, if you listened to us last week, I don't dislike 3. But this is definitely a step up from 3, and it's a fun movie. I like the way it kind of tackles remakes, excluding the one made-up rule about, gay people not dying, because gay people do still die. I don't know where they got that from. But, yeah, I don't know. It's great. It's not perfect. There's definitely flaws, but, I really like the cast. I like a lot of the new characters we get. I really like Emma Roberts as an actress, so I like her as Jill. I think she does a really good job, like, playing kind of really innocent at the beginning, and then, like, that moment where she snaps, I think is great. Like, she's really believable as, like, a monster at that point, and it's, like, cool to see an actress be able to have, like, the dichotomy there. I think Kirby is definitely the standout. It's a good thing they decided to justify bringing her back, because she's definitely the best character in the movie, so it's cool that we'll bring her back. But yeah, it was fun. I liked it. It's... I don't know what my Scream ranking is, and that's not what this is for. I'm not going to try to make it up on the spot, but it's definitely not the lowest, but, it's definitely not the highest either. But it's a Scream movie, so they're all at least good.
Yeah. I also really enjoyed this movie. I think it might be my second favorite Scream movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just based on, like, the twist at the end where Jill turns out to be the killer.
That's fair.
As I remember initially watching this movie, not really seeing that coming at all.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, yeah. Well, that does make sense.
Yeah.
And also, wow. What a twisted person.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, it has its flaws, but none of them are, well... They don't pull me out of the movie ever at any point. It is a good movie. I really enjoyed having Kevin Williamson's writing back in this one. But yeah, it was a good time all around for me.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed getting to watch it back again.
Yeah. I also enjoyed it, as I already said. And yeah, this has been Scream 4's coverage. Next week, can you imagine what we're going to cover? That's right. We are covering...
Halloween!
No, we're covering Scream! Again, the first one. No, it's not. Don't put that hand up. It is not. It is Scream 2022. That is the name of the movie. Stop putting that 5 up for our audio listeners. I'll let them know what you're doing. Stop it. It's not Scream 5. That would make sense.
It is the 5th installation, though.
It is the 5th Scream movie titled Scream 2022. Yeah. But yeah, we'll be talking about that next week. If you like this podcast, give it a 5-star review on podcast apps like Apple and Spotify and Google. Download all of those different platforms and give us a 5-star on all of them. Please do it, or I will cry. Also, if you like it on YouTube, like it and subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch more videos and leave a comment and tell me how much you hate me. I don't care. Just give us that good interaction. That's what matters. That's what the algorithm cares about.
True.
It really is. But yeah, also if you want to support us directly, we are on patreon.com/downtown Kentucky, and I'll say it here because we're gonna you may have been like, hey, this was different. It was, and I still thought it was good though. So we'll be back. Not just next week. We're gonna be back for a while. We're not going anywhere. Until we're not. Until, the curse of the second person happens and it's just me.
I disappear mysteriously.
No! All of the content I make! But yeah, I've been Austin, joined by Chris. And we'll be back next week. Bye-bye!
Bye-bye.